Hi everybody, it's Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio and welcome to day 7 of the 12 days of Christmas. We're working on house number 7 of the Christmas Cottage Quilt, and here is our block. This is a larger house than the ones we've done so far. At least it's wider. I didn't put any trees on this one, but you certainly can, or you could put some bushes in the front if you want. But stick with me and I'll show you how to put this block together. Okay, the next 6 houses I'm going to do on a lighter background. This is a mottled blue, pink, some orange, and or peach color maybe, and gray, and it has a silver metallic, so we'll see how that looks. But this way I can make the houses darker because I have a lighter background, so I have more contrast here. So here's my pattern, and you can see this house fills the block pretty well, so I'm not going to be putting any houses to the side, but what you could do instead is put some bushes in the front. So that's an option. You can free cut those and add some bushes there. So let's go ahead, do the roof and the doors again, and then we'll start with the house parts, or the base part of the house. So I'm going to move a couple things out of my way, and we'll start with all of these parts. Let me get the roof pieces out of the way, and I'm also going to move my background out of the way. But I have my doors and windows here on the top. So I've got my release paper, and it's the same routine. Just take off the paper backing, just peel that off, and then stick it down to the release paper. And then here is the door frame. Now remember, you don't have to use all of these parts. If you don't want to mess with these little thin door frame and window frame pieces, you don't need those. You can just use the doors and the windows. You don't have to use all the windows either. If you want just one window in the house, you can just put one in there, and you can put the doors wherever you want and the windows wherever you want. So you know, play around with the pattern and find the placements that you like the best. There we go. There's the door, and here's one of the windows. Place that one down, and I have, this one has a sashing. That would be like this. Now that's also optional. You don't have to put the sashings in if you don't want to. If you like the look with just the window frame, then you can do that. I'm going to go ahead and put the sashing in though. And with these being whimsical blocks, it's not so important that everything gets on there perfectly straight. So if your sashing looks a little bit off, you know, just embrace that and go along with it. But if you really don't like that look, then go ahead and change it. That's all up to you. Okay, there's the first window, and let's do the second window. I'm doing all of these upside down, so it's I'm getting a different view than you are. Okay, here's the trim for this window. There we go. So there's my door and my window pieces, and now we can start working on putting the whole block together. So I have my background piece, and this is got snowflakes and swirls in it. The swirls do seem to have a direction, though. It looks like a lot of them start down and then they move up, so I'm going to use that as a direction in my quilt. And so now I want to put the roof on, and I'm going to start actually with the door, because the door has a backing to it, and then the door goes on top. So I'm going to get another piece of release paper and put that together as a unit. So I think the key to this design, the design of these houses, is to find the pieces that you can collage together. What piece goes with what? What's laying on? What's in the front and what's on the back? And I'm using the grid lines on here to help me, and just eyeballing the spacing from side to side. So here is the door unit. So now I've got all the door pieces together. So let's do the base, and I am going to need to use a piece of grid paper. So the grid I can see through. So let me turn this so that's not flipping up. And I'm going to lay the house underneath. So I don't know if you can see that through the camera, but I can see all the lines there. Now if this is sliding around on you too much, you can always tape that down, or you can pin it down. Like I'm going to go ahead and grab a couple of pins, and I'm going through the paper, both sheets of paper, the background fabric, and I'm going into my mat here. So I can pick this up and look at it if I need to, and yet it's not going to shift on me, so I'm good here. Now the sides of the house, we have two sides that go right here and here. Now what you can do is cut this all one piece, but I felt like I wanted a different color in here. And even though I still could have cut this all out of one piece of fabric and put this color here on top, I felt it would be wasting a big chunk of my fabric, so I chose not to do that. So you do what works best for you, what makes more sense for you though. So if you want to, you can cut that all out of one piece of fabric. You're just going to have to adjust the pattern because the pattern is not drawn for that. So I'm going to line this up to the outside corner. So move that over just a tad, like that. I want the overlap here on the inside, not on the outside. The outside of the house is set, so that isn't going to change. But these are the back pieces of building from the back forward, so I need to get this one on now. There we go. And now the house, or the door. So now I'm going to put the door piece on. And I can see the peak lining up the bottom. I'm going to stand up and look over this, so hopefully my head won't get in the way here. Okay, and don't worry so much if this does not line up, because that's where your trim goes. And that is this piece here. This piece goes right there. And these pieces go here and here. Like, I think like that. Let me check. Yeah. And these pieces are going to go on first. So we'll put these on first. I'm going to use a pin to help me get the fabric off. The paper, there we go. So there's a right and a left. So I drew 2 of these pieces, so you don't have to worry about reversing any of these. And this is just going to go right along the edge of this top piece, just like that. And do the same with this one. That works so much easier than picking at it with my finger. And this one does the same. Okay. Except I've got this one over just a little too far to this edge. There we go. I could have also have just trim that off with a pair of scissors. And be careful with this one that you don't let the ends touch each other, because they will stick together and not want to let go. So here we go. So now we have that. Now right now I'm going to put the roof underneath it. So since this is repositionable and I've got it on my release paper, I can move this, so that's not a problem. Ideally, I would have put this roof on before I put the trim. But just lay that there. Pick this up. Just going to flatten that out, put this down, and there we go. Now you can see here where this roof sticks out a little bit further than this one. You can adjust that if you want to. There we go. That's better. So you can make these tiny adjustments however you want. Now the chimney needs to go on, and you can put the chimney, of course, wherever you want. This one I have it over here on the paper, so I'll just follow that and pull up that roof one more time and lined it up with the drawing. Lay it down. Okay, so now we have the windows. Now, of course, I can't see the windows through the fabric, so what you can do is just lay them side by side, so I can see approximately where I want that to be. And basically, I just have the windows lined up with the door. So if I look at my door, and I could put like a straight edge there at the top of that, and that kind of lines up with the door trim, and just eyeball it for centering. Or if you don't want it centered, you might want it closer to the door than to the side of the house. You can do that. You can also lay this on top and see if you have it, like I have it over this way a little too far, according to the pattern. See if I can get this up. Right about there. You can fiddle with these as much as you want, which I need to actually fiddle with these less than what I'm doing, I think. I'd have a better result if I didn't mess with them too much. Okay, here we go. So there is the house. So I'm going to fiddle with it a little bit more anyway. I'm going to bring this down a little bit because I want more of the house to show around it, around the back of it. So I'm going to pull these down a little bit. There we go. Now I'm happy. Okay, so here we go. The house unit is all ready to go down. Okay, now centering. The center would be 6 1/4, and this house is 7 1/2 inches tall, so the center would be 6 3/4 this direct, or 3 3/4 for the house. So 3 3/4 is here. Let's see if I can see that. Right there. And the house is almost 9 inches, so let's do, I'm not going to be able to see that. We'll have to do it from this end. 4 3/8, so let's do, we'll just follow the peak of the house. That should be pretty much centered. Okay. So I'm going to follow. Now I'm just going to fingerprint press in the seam allowance. I don't want to press a crease in my block. And you do whatever you want to do to place your block, whether you want it centered or not, and mark it however works best for you. Okay, now I'm going to peel off the whole house. Yeah, should come off all in one piece, just like this one did. And trying to find my chalk mark. There it is. And there's that line. So it should be right about like that. So it needs to go over just a little bit. And that is actually pretty good. I think I'm going to just bring it over just a touch. And I'm going to turn it to see if it looks even on the bottom. I don't want the house to look like it's falling. And then of course I can always measure it and see what it looks like going across. So I'm at 2.5. Actually, that's pretty good. I'm going to let that go right there. Okay, I'm going to finger press this down. And this is all ready now to be permanently fused. So I'm going to dampen my pressing cloth with my water bottle. And if this is the first video of this series you've been to, or if you just don't remember, this is just a piece of muslin. This isn't like a seamstress pressing cloth, which not too long ago I used to have a couple of those, but I have not seen them in quite a while, so I'm not certain what happened to them. But you can buy pressing cloths that are specially made for garments. I need to turn my steam on, that tailors and seamstresses use, so you can buy those. And they just they're a different thickness of fabric. They're thicker than this. This is a thin muslin. And they also have a finish on them of some sort. I don't know what it is, but it does have a different feel to it. So my instructions say 10 to 15 seconds per area. Yeah, make sure I got that chimney in there. Now if you're like me and you're working on a wool mat, you know, the smell of wet wool, you'll get a lot of that while you're working on this project. The smell is not quite as bad as a wet dog, but it still has a particular smell to it. So here we go. So here is house number 7. Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links. And to keep up with my latest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.